My name is Silas Thorne. At 58, I own more properties than I can count, but the one that gnawed at my conscience was the Evergreen Estate. It was my first major investment, a place I'd promised to keep affordable. But the reports from my caretaker, Mr. Abudaran, were troubling. Rent collections were abysmal, and complaints of tenant cruelty towards the less fortunate were frequent. They enjoyed my generosity, but offered none themselves. They'd even heard of the good landlord Silas Thorne, but had no idea the man they cursed for raising maintenance fees was me. So I decided to see for myself. I devised a test. The stench of the alley was a physical thing, a mix of rotting garbage and despair. I leaned against a grimy wall, my body wrapped in tattered, foul-smelling rags. My face was a masterclass in illusion. A grotesque, mottled bruise bloomed around one eye, and a convincing bloody gash ran down my forearm, courtesy of a talented special effects artist I employ. I was the very picture of broken humanity. The first woman to see me recoiled as if struck. "Ugh, smelling maggot. Don't you dare touch my clean clothes." She scurried away, clutching her handbag. My heart sank, but I pressed on. I stumbled into the main courtyard, where a group of younger men loitered. "Please," I croaked, my voice a practiced, weak rasp. "I'm hurt. I just need a little help." They didn't just refuse, they laughed. One, a burly man with a cruel smile, shoved me hard. "We don't want your kind here, old man. We don't want to see you here again." Another pushed me from behind, and I fell to the rough concrete, my fake injury scraping against the ground. Their laughter echoed around me, a symphony of scorn. "Look at the maggot crawl," they jeered. They kicked dust at me, their faces contorted in disgust. I took it all, each insult a data point in my grim experiment. My own tenants, living in my houses, showing not an ounce of the compassion they so readily enjoyed. I was dragged to the estate gates and thrown out onto the street. Hope was a dying ember in my chest. This was who they were. As I lay there, humiliated and defeated, a shadow fell over me. Not a looming, threatening shadow, but a small, hesitant one. "Sir, are you all right?" I looked up. A woman, her clothes worn but clean, her eyes holding a world of tiredness, stood there. Beside her, a young girl clutched her skirt, looking at me with wide, curious eyes. "Let us help you up," she said softly. She didn't flinch from my smell or my wounds. With a strength that belied her frail frame, she and her little girl helped me to my feet and onto a low curb. She pulled a clean, if frayed, cloth from her bag and a bottle of water. "Here, clean your wound. It's all I have." "Why?" I asked, my real emotion thickening my disguised voice. "Why would you help me? You look like you have nothing yourself." She offered a sad, gentle smile. "I have a heart that still beats. I've heard stories about the man who owns these houses, Mr. Thorne. They say he is a very good man, helping people. I may not have a home. They rejected my application. But I have a little faith. I want to be a giver like him, even if all I have to give is a little water and a kind word. One day, I believe I will have a home." Her words were a balm and an indictment. At that moment, a few of the tenants who had thrown me out gathered, snickering. "Look, the maggot found his queen," the burly man yelled. "You both fit each other. Now get out of our neighborhood." The widow, Mrs. Adieze, merely bowed her head, shielding her daughter from their malice. That was enough. I looked at the mocking crowd, then at the kind woman. A calm resolve settled over me. "You are right," I said, my voice suddenly clear and strong, losing its rasp. "Silas Thorne is a good man, and he thanks you for your kindness." A confused silence fell. I reached up and wiped away the expertly applied bruise from my eye. I peeled off the fake bloody gash on my arm. I stood to my full height, shrugging off the posture of a broken man. Then I reached into the inner pocket of my ragged coat and pulled out a gleaming, latest model Galaxy Z Fold 6. The crowd gasped, jaws going slack, eyes bulged. "What trick is this?" someone muttered. On my phone, a single button press. From around the corner, the deep purring growl of an engine erupted. A spotless, brand-new Lamborghini Rivoletto, black as obsidian, glided to a halt beside us. My driver, Charles, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, stepped out and walked toward me. He bowed slightly. "Mr. Thorne, sir, the documents are ready as you requested." The silence was absolute. You could hear a pin drop. The blood had drained from the faces of the cruel tenants. The burly man looked like he was about to be sick. I announced, my voice ringing with authority. "I am Silas Thorne." The wave of shock that rolled through them was palpable. Whispers of, "No, it can't be," and "Oh God, what have we done?" filled the air. I turned my back on them and faced Mrs. Adieze, who was trembling, her hand over her mouth. "You," I said, taking her hands in mine, "passed the test that every single one of them failed spectacularly. You gave everything you had, which was your compassion." I gestured to Charles, who handed me a set of keys and a sealed envelope. "This," I said, giving her the keys, "is for the new duplex at the top of the hill, fully furnished. And this," I handed her the envelope, "is a check for $100,000. To start any business you love, to take care of your beautiful daughter." Tears of disbelief streamed down her face. The crowd watched, a mixture of awe and utter horror. Then I turned to them. Their faces were masks of panic. They began to babble, to beg. "Sir, Mr. Thorne, we are so sorry. We didn't know. Please, give us a second chance." I held up my hand for silence. "You have enjoyed my mercy while showing none," I said, my voice cold. "Effective immediately, your rents are increased by 300%. There will be no more free rides." Their cries grew desperate. They pleaded, they wept. I let them simmer in their despair for a moment before speaking again. "There is one condition, one single way I will reconsider." They fell silent, clinging to this shred of hope. "Go," I commanded. "Each and every one of you. Go and bring me one person, one to whom you have shown genuine, selfless compassion in the last 4 months. Not a family member, not a friend you owed a favor on. A stranger you helped without expecting anything in return. If you can prove your own kindness, you may stay at the original rent." They stared at me, their faces blank with terror. They knew. They knew they had nothing to show. Their pockets were full, but their souls were empty. As I guided the weeping, joyful Mrs. Adieze and her daughter into the Lamborghini, I left them with the haunting echo of their own emptiness.